Happy New Year, singers! Here I am in the blinding January light, and as I look forward to a new year of musical adventures, I want to start out by sharing with you two of the resources that really made progress possible for me in 2023, because I felt like I made so much progress last year in terms of my learning, my knowledge, my practice habits, my performing skill, and also the experience, the mental and emotional experience of those things. I just felt like it was a huge year of growth for me. And I say that not to brag, but because I'm not a kid in conservatory. I'm not someone who is constantly taking a voice lesson every single week and having the information fed to me. I'm a grown-up who has a whole life, and I'm just doing this through my own inquiry. And I know that you are too, because you're here on the channel. So if you are looking for ways to really kind of accelerate or expand your self-learning of music making this year, then I recommend these two resources to you. The first resource is a book, What Every Musician Needs to Know About the Body by Barbara Conable. I would show you my physical copy, but I lent it to a student. So this book lays out Conable's somatic ideas of body mapping, which is basically, I would say, the application for musicians of Alexander technique. There's other body practices involved too, but that's kind of a short way of describing it. So the way that our body is constructed, the way we think about our body, and then the way that we use our body. And the idea is that if we can understand the way that the body actually factually works, then we can use it in ways that allow us to perform with greater expression, with greater strength, greater freedom, and with less pain and injury. So I read this book early last year, and when I first picked it up, it looked so simple, almost kind of like a kid's book or a comic book. And what I soon came to realize is that the simplicity is just such an advantage. It's not that this is a book for kind of just beginner level, although I was so ignorant about my body's anatomy going in. I had no idea that I knew so little. And just through this simple book and through Barbara Conable's incredibly direct and clear writing and the beautiful illustrations in the book, I was able to uncover so many misunderstandings and just like holes of knowledge that I had about my physical body. And it's really not an exaggeration to say that there were many times this year where I would look at a picture or read something in this book, suddenly understand the way that a part of my body was connected or the way that it functioned. And then I was able to immediately stand up and sing in a way that I had never done before. So obviously the work is not over. I'm going to be continuing my own inquiry into body mapping in the coming year. But this book is such an incredible jumpstart into your knowledge and your understanding in a more concrete and incarnated way that singing is a full body process. So I can't recommend it highly enough. If the sort of comic book appearance is a real turnoff for you, there is a version of it that has sort of a more grown-up look, but either one works, and they're both going to be linked below in the description box. But if you only read one book about music this year, make it this one. It will create change in the way that you make music. So for the second resource, I want to go from the body to the head. I've always had a pretty negative experience with performing. It is very hard for me to enjoy performing in the way that I know so many people naturally do. For me, it is an agonizing experience where I'm really just hyper aware of everything that I am doing wrong according to my own perfectionist standards, and then afterward beating myself up for all the things that I did wrong. And it is obvious to me that that's not a helpful way to proceed, but it definitely seems to be something that is kind of in my wiring, in my mental or emotional kind of basic makeup. And so I decided this year to try and take the bull by the horns and see if I could make performing something that I felt was more within my own control, or if not control, at least that I had a sense of agency with my own performing. So I didn't feel so much at the mercy of this like tidal wave of negative emotions. And so I sought out Noah Kageyama, he's kind of a giant in this field of, performance science. I don't know. It's like sports psychology, but for musicians. And he is at Juilliard. He has a blog called Bulletproof Musician. And it's not woo-woo kind of you can do it stuff. This is very science-based. It's based in psychology and sociology, and really helps to offer very practical, concrete ways that you can practice performing as an explicit skill. So I looked at his blog. I really felt like he was going to be the right teacher for me. And so I took his online course, which is called Performance Psychology Essentials. I think that's what it's called. And it was kind of a short course. I did it on 1 month of weekends, so 4 kind of brief online sessions. And the skills that I learned there really allowed me to prepare for performing and then experience performing in a way that felt so much less emotionally loaded and so much more kind of productive and fruitful. I felt like I was able to make the practicing work that I had done really count and really show up in performance, which was very gratifying. And I also felt like I was able to, at least to an improved degree, stay in control of my emotional self during performing. I think, of course, I can only experience it through myself, and the emotional benefit of it, just kind of not having so much anguish around performing, made it worthwhile. But I will also say that my perception is that also I gave better performances. So I think that was well worth the money that I spent, well worth the time that I spent. And again, like body mapping, something that I really look forward to digging into further as the new year approaches. So those are the 2 resources I want to share with you. There's information on how you can access them down below. And in the meanwhile, I would love to hear what you're hoping to do with your singing in 2024. I think it's going to be a great year, a year of more learning, and I wish you all the success as the year begins. Thank you for practicing.